All right. Greetings, everyone. I apologize for the delay. I was in another area of the house, so I had to relocate to the office where the studio is so I can record this commentary. Now, on this trade, and by the way, this video represents trade number one of the 2X project on QUOTEX. phase 3, starting balance of 778. This recording represents trade number 1 in the bag. Definitely focus.
I'm focused, man.
All right. So now that we got that intro out the way, I'm doing that because this is a new phase. So this is technically a new video series, but it's still the same 2X project that we're working on. And, the same old that we always do when we're on here. So just doing observation, paying attention, of course, to the movement of the market, more specifically paying attention to movement and the behavior cycle that the market is in. On this particular trade, I entered primarily off of the movement. So I know that a lot of you are still asking and wondering what the differences are between the movement and behavior. And just in general, and again, this is why you guys need to watch these recordings all the way through, because the commentary that I give, whether it's before I actually trade or afterwards, it's very powerful and very insightful, whether you're in training already or not. The primary difference between movement and behavior is that movement happens first. The movement of the market can be unstable or it can be stable. That movement ultimately can and does lead into some type of a cycle of behavior where the market is reacting at different points and different price levels that it has previously been at. So what you'll see is either same color candles or opposite color candles. You'll see, a different number of the same color candles versus the opposite color candles. That represents the cycle of behavior that the market will manifest. The wicks on the candles, that represents the movement. So when you see wicks on a candle, the market is letting you know that there's some type of reversal energy present, but the reversal energy may or may not be enough to overwhelm the cycle of behavior that the market created. So this is why you'll hear me separate the two. I'll mention a cycle of behavior, and I may say that my confidence was more so in the cycle of the behavior than it was in the movement. So just using that as an example, what I'm saying is that if I'm basing my trade off of just one of those, so it may be the cycle of behavior, or it might just be movement, or it could be a combination of both. Now, when you get into training, you start to get the details of what I'm referring to. I'm speaking on it now because this is what we do, but a lot of you don't know what I'm referring to. But if you listen closely, you'll get a basic idea of what I'm referring to. Behavior and movement are ultimately a part of the same thing in the market because they represent the market doing what it does naturally. The market moves. The question becomes, well, how is the market moving? That's where behavior comes in. So if the market is moving in a way where it keeps repeating the moves between different price levels, That's what creates different color candles. It's the reason why the market will move up to a level or down to a level. And then how it reacts once it gets there, that represents the behavior. How is it moving? So the market can be moving unstable, or it can just be moving smoothly, which is stable. When the market is moving that way, whether there's an existing cycle of behavior or not, if you're able to identify the stability of the movement, you can select your trade with confidence, because the trade is simply you choosing the direction. That's all a trade represents. When you trade, what you're saying is, I'm saying that the market will move this way. Or better yet, I'm saying that the market will move further this way, because you might be using the direction that the market is already in as part of the reason why you're entering in that direction. Not to say that that's what I always do, but I'm using that as an example for what most people do. Most people don't trade against the direction that the market is in already. See, you would have to understand behavior to do that. You would have to understand the cycle of behavior in order to do that. And we do understand that. But in general, people don't. So most people who are trading, most retail traders, don't understand anything I'm talking about when it comes to the market's movement. They're thinking candlesticks, patterns. They're thinking Fibonacci levels. They're thinking pivot points and indicators, and, they're thinking strategies for entering. But they're not thinking about movement of the market and what it means. And that's what I'm trying to help to educate all of you on through these recordings. Because once you understand that the market literally has movement that will dictate the outcome of when you trade with precision, you'll focus your attention on movement instead of focusing just simply on the trade. Does that make sense? And that should make sense to you, regardless of what level of understanding you're at in the market. The market moves. It moves all the time. The question is, well, how is it moving? Is it moving stable? And does it have a cycle of behavior that's already there? Meaning, what type of behavior is repeating itself? And what type of movement does the market actually have within the period that I'm looking at? So we're looking at 1 minute candles. So we're looking at minute by minute. Each of these red and blue candles represent 1 minute movement, 60 seconds of movement. So when you actually start looking at how it's moving and you zoom in and you look at these wicks are these skinny lines on the bottom or on the top of the candles. When you look at those, what they're showing you is that the market moved to a point and then it backed away from that point to create that wick. A wick on the bottom is not the same type of behavior as a wick on the top. It's the same type of movement because it represents reversal energy, but it's not the same behavior. You can have a wick on the bottom of a candle, for example, but the candle can be a different color. Let me show you what I mean. You got a wick on the bottom of this candle, but the candle's red. You got a wick on the bottom of this one too, but the candle's blue. What's the difference? You see, understanding that difference helps you to understand behavior, because this represents unstable movement and this represents a cycle of behavior that the market can be setting up at the same time. Because it had the same type of movement during both candles, but one candle is red and the other one is blue. This is where your observation comes in. You start to understand what behavior means. You start to understand how movement plays a role in behavior. And when you put them together, it creates the best scenario for any trade that you want to take. Because remember that your trade is just simply based on the direction that you choose. So you might choose to go or to buy, as an example, but you could be buying on a red candle. Why would you do that? Well, because there could be an existing cycle of behavior present. And you know that that cycle manifests as the market actually moving the opposite way at the end of an existing move that the market made already. So in other words, it went down, but it's gonna go up again right after the down. And I'm just giving you an example of a cycle of behavior. That's a cycle of behavior. That's something that is repeating in the market. It's just like, for example, you have a move going down here, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 6 minutes of movement coming down. But in between the first 3 minutes and the fifth minute, there's a blue candle. There's a blue candle here, meaning that the market ultimately started at the bottom of this candle where this one closed or this one finished. That's where this candle started. And then the market moved up for 60 seconds and it closed higher than where the previous candle closed. So there you have a blue candle. But then look what happens on the next candle. Right where the blue ends, on the next candle, the red starts, meaning that the market literally moved lower from this point going down, and it basically never looked back. It kept going down. So this is how you're making sense out of the blue. It's like, well, why is there a blue in here? There's a blue in here because the market is in a cycle. Wow. See, this is why you guys have to get into training, because if you just limit your understanding to what I talk about and teach you here, you'll gain a lot. Trust me when I tell you, you're learning so much because first and foremost, I'm teaching you to start actually observing the market instead of just trading. That's the foundation right there. You have to start from there. You can't just start with a strategy. Oh, well, my strategy is to, wait for several of the same color candles and then I just enter the trade. Well, what is that based on? You're just waiting for two or three of the same color and then you go in? That doesn't make sense. How many times do you see 2 or 3 of the same candle and then the next one is the opposite color candle? Happens all the time. So you're not making sense out of the way you're entering, which means that your strategy doesn't make sense, which means that you're focused on trades. And if you're focused on trades, you're going to lose anyway over the long term because it's not based on understanding the market's movement. And in order for anything that you're doing as far as trading goes to be effective and to be profitable, it means that you need to know the outcome of the movement in advance. You need to already know what the market is doing. You need to make sense of it. The market could be stabilizing its movement and developing that, or the market could be developing a cycle of behavior. If you're able to pinpoint which cycle it's in, now you can use that along with whether or not the market is stable or stabilizing, or even if it's not that stable. Because you understand that the market has behaviors that are created as cycles, you now have the confidence to take that information and apply it when you trade. So now you start becoming more effective when you trade because you're making sense out of the movement. You see where I'm going? It's just like the difference between large candles and small ones. The difference between candles with wicks on the top versus wicks on the bottom. There's a difference. So you need to learn all of these things. And if you focus on learning these things instead of clouding your mind and your judgment with trades and which trade to take and why should, I want to get into this trade. Oh, I took that trade. It didn't work. Well, why'd you take the trade? And why didn't it work? See, any trade that we enter, we need to know why it didn't work. You should know why it didn't work even before the trade is finished. As soon as you enter and you see that it ain't worked, you should know why. You should know why. Because the market was already doing something, and the question becomes, did you know what it was doing? And if the answer is no, you got a lot of work to do. And that work is called training. See, here, the blueprint for all of this is already laid out. This is why you guys don't need to look further than TA. You don't need to look further than this. You still trying to figure out how to win on QUOTEX. You thinking that money management is going to save you. Money management is a necessary part, yes. But the money management you use needs to make sense for what it is that you're trying to accomplish and the way that you're trading and what you want to do ultimately. For some of you, you're too aggressive. Others, you're too conservative. But whether you're conservative or aggressive, it doesn't matter if you're not consistent with your trade results. So if you're not able to consistently get that profitable trade within 2 or 3 attempts or 2 or 3 entries, you already have a problem. Oh, but that's pretty aggressive. It's actually not aggressive. Aggressive would be win them all. But I'm not going to be ridiculous and just say, you know what, I'm going to win all my trades off the rip. There's always room for the market to do something else once you ultimately make your decision to enter. But as long as you're checking off all of the boxes that you need to before you enter, it means that you made a smart and confident decision based on your observation of what the market was doing at the time. So that means your trade was actually based on movement in the market. It wasn't just based on you picking that trade. You didn't just get on the chart and say, yeah, you know what, I think this is going to go down, I'm going to sell. That's not based on anything other than a hunch. We don't base our decisions off of that. We base our decisions off of observation. We need to be seeing, we need to be watching what the market is doing for a while, for a period of time. You guys see me time and time again. Many times you'll see me look like, or I should say it will look like I'm about to enter into a trade and I don't enter. It's like, well, I wonder why he didn't take that one. I wonder what he saw. Whatever I saw, it led to me deciding not to enter. And all I saw was whatever the movement was at the time. Because these are nuances that you learn as you observe. I don't always enter at the exact same time. Sometimes you'll see me wait. I'll pause. Other times you'll see me click right in straight away. Why am I doing one or the other? It's because I've already observed the market's behavior and movement, and I'm confident in my decision because I know that it's based on what I've seen the market doing already. See, the market continues to do what it's doing already. But if you don't know what it's been doing, what are you really basing your trade decision on? You see where I'm going? So again, y'all make sure that y'all watch these observations and y'all listen to these commentaries. That's why I tell you to watch the whole video from beginning to end. Watch the whole thing, man. Don't skip to just where the trade is. Watch the observation, listen to the commentary, and then watch the trade. All of it. Because it's going to help you. You will develop into a professional trader if you start with these videos and recordings, and then ultimately you get into training. You'll become professional because there's no other option. See, you're getting rid of all the fluff and all the stuff that you don't need. Well, Mark, I've seen different strategies out there that are pretty good. I don't care. I don't even care if you think what I'm teaching is a strategy. I don't give a shit. I honestly don't. I'm not teaching you strategy. I'm teaching you what it is that you need as a foundation and what you should be doing all the time, which is observing. And I'm going to teach you how to observe. I'm going to teach you what the market actually does and shows us. It shows us movement. The movement means something. It shows us behavior also. That means something. The candles mean something. The color of the candle and wicks on the candles means something. When the candles don't have wicks, that means something. See, what does all this stuff mean? Get into training.
I'm focused, man.
I'm just saying, like, the easiest way for you to ultimately develop into the trader that you want to become and to position yourself to have this skill set so that you can build freedom for yourself financially is to train. $100 a month, $1,000 through Cash App for the year. It's worth it. And just think about what will happen if you don't do it. You're going to keep losing, right? You're going to keep basically going through everything you're going through now. You're going to keep wishing, oh man, I wish I would have started last year. Damn. I wish I would have started when he first started training, man. It's called regret. A lot of you were going to regret not starting earlier, but it's okay. It's never too late. See, the bottom line is that the market is not going to change what it does. It ain't changing for you. It ain't changing for me. It does what it does. You need to learn what it does. Your problem is you don't know. And if these recordings have not taught you that, you really got a problem. These recordings should teach you that you really need to train in order to elevate. Because there's so much of what I talk about in these commentaries and so much that I give you in these videos that is going right over your head. You don't even know what it is. You're hearing it, but it's not clicking and making sense because you have not trained yet. You really don't know the specifics of what I'm referring to, even though I'm giving you the information. Training elevates you. Training solidifies the skill set. Some of y'all trying to avoid it. You're trying to, oh, I don't want to pay $100 a month. All right, so don't. Continue to do what you've been doing. Keep watching these videos and, keep your fingers crossed and hope that it all works out. But in actuality, what these videos are teaching and showing you is that you really need to train in order to elevate. See, you can watch these videos all day and try to duplicate what you see me doing. And I have no problem with that. I hope that it helps you. I'm doing it to help you. But I'm just letting you know that in order to elevate to that next level where you're able to execute and demonstrate the way you see me do it, you need to train for that. There's no way around it. Stop being a cheapskate. I don't give a shit what you got to do. Cut other bills out and get your $100 a month up. Some of y'all missed out on the loyalty discount. I was doing it for $65 a month for the first month. And any of you that are signed up at that rate, you'll have that rate forever. Everybody else that waited, now you got to pay $100 a month. And you better get that before I raise it again. And see, there's a reason that I'm doing this. You need skin in the game. Stop talking about it and buckle down and get serious. You thinking that you're going to do everything and not pay anything out? Nothing is free. Oh, but Mark, you're giving the information away for free. I'm giving you the basic information away. But you don't understand yet what training does. See, you don't understand what it's like to be part of the group chat and to see recordings of other students and to get feedback. You don't know what it's like for you to start recording and post in the group and the other students give you feedback. All of that is part of training. It elevates you. That's how you elevate. All right. Anyway, let me wrap this up. So we ended up doing 33 minutes, and y'all need to listen and watch all the way through. Don't play around with these recordings. Don't play with them. This stuff is gold, straight up and down. All right, so I'm out. Y'all know what it is, Mark Fuller, TeamAlliance. So this represents phase 3, 2X project on Nadex, starting balance of 778, trade number 1 in the bag. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Y'all know what it is. Love, peace, and soul.
Dom the Monko. Dom the Monko.